Right, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. I thought I'd quickly show you guys how I've been propagating my Hoya Polyneura. This one I've had for probably maybe coming up to like 2 years now. Potentially a tiny bit longer, I'm not really certain. But I bought this one on Facebook for 15 quid, which at the time was a really good price, and well, I think now still a really good price, because I've noticed with this Hoya the price has not kind of fluctuated at all. It kind of stays relatively expensive all the time. Not sure why. You don't see it available too often, and then when people do sell it, they sell it as a tiny unrooted cutting for like 20 quid or something, or like a tenner or something. So I got quite lucky. I got this plant for £15, and it was a good size, really good size. But it has grown so much recently that I've propagated it quite a lot, and they propagate so easy. So this is the plant that I was talking about, which this is after I've chopped it up multiple times. Believe it or not, it just absolutely loves whatever it is that I'm doing. I have it in a hanging pot. It's quite a small pot, and you'll see it's all like growing one-sided. Just a terracotta pot, and it is in a mixture of sphagnum moss and multi-purpose compost. There may be a few pieces of terracotta in there as well, but I'm not sure. It's been a long while since I potted it. I fertilise this maybe once a month, just using, I either use a Miracle-Gro soluble solution, or I'll use my orchid fertilizer, which is sold as orchid fertilizer, but it's obviously the same nutrients. You can use it for a majority of houseplants. And it has grown so much. With this Hoya, it likes to be a bit more damp than a lot of the other Hoyas. So I actually use a slow release watering system for it. I say system, it's like I'll grab it in a second. Just try and stand it up. I use one of these water reservoirs to water this one. So I'll fill it up to like there with water or fertilized water, and then just stick it in there, and it takes maybe a day and a half to absorb all of that, and then I'll leave it a week or maybe two, and then I'll water it again, but I always let it dry out between watering. And I've just got back from holiday, so it is relatively dry, so I didn't use this time. I just watered it by hand, but that is how I would ordinarily water it. Right, and I'll quickly show you how. I'll show you the propagations first, and then I'll show you how I do it. I actually need to grab some scissors. Right, so these plastic containers over the back here, I'll just show you one at random. So I cut the bottle, take any clear bottle, cut it, but leave a little piece so it's still attached, and so it folds over and creates its own little greenhouse, basically. Let me try and get it out. There we go. So I've taken, I think the majority of these are 2 and 4 leaf cuttings. This one's, yeah, you should be able to see the roots. You see all, there's a bit of a glare, but you can see the roots growing through all down here. And I literally took these 2 weeks ago, and they've grown so well, and it's even got some new leaves coming. And the humidity inside the little bottle allows the plant to root in the air as well. That's how humid it is. But they absolutely love this method. This is how I've propagated it before. I've propagated this so many times, I'd say maybe like 15 times. And it just does so well. So I'll show you what mixture I use, how I cut the bottles, and how I take the cuttings. And I'm going to do that here. So if you want to stick around and watch that, feel free. And if you've just came here to see the Hoya, thank you for watching, and please do subscribe to see more. But yeah, if you want to see me take the cuttings, continue watching. Right, okay, so what you're going to need to do this, some clear plastic bottles. I keep the lids, you don't have to. Scissors and a knife, or scissors and or a knife. And then the mix that I'm using looks a bit manky at the moment, but I'm just trying to mix some water with it to get it hydrated. But I'm using an orchid mix, which comes with these lovely little terracotta pieces. I live by these for propagation, they work so well. Or you can use lacquer pieces. There's also bark in here, as you'd find in the orchid mix. And I'm also using sphagnum moss. I'm going to cut this sphagnum moss quite fine, but not super fine, because it doesn't matter. You want to keep it quite, keep the pieces maybe, you know, like that size, so that they leave some quite porous gaps between the medium. So that's what I'm going to be using. I'm just going to chop up the sphagnum moss a little bit, just so that I can mix it better. You can use long fibre, it doesn't matter. This is just what I prefer to do. I don't really have much of an explanation why. And it will mix a lot better when the pieces are a bit smaller. If you can't find the terracotta pieces or lacquer, it will work just fine with just bark pieces, or you can use, you could definitely use just multi-purpose compost. If you get like the multi-purpose compost that has like quite large chunks in it, that will work absolutely fine as well. Right, okay, so I'm going to remove the labels of these bottles. So the first time I propagated the Hoya Polyneura, I actually used plastic cups, you know, like plastic drinking cups. And then I was trying to look for them again in the shops, but I just couldn't find them anywhere, because people are obviously more conscious of the environment now. So honestly, it was hard to find them. So I decided just to start using plastic bottles, and a lot of the time now I drink water. I know a few of these aren't water, but yeah, so I found that plastic bottles were a bit easier to find than buying new plastic cups. It just made a lot more sense, and I don't know why I didn't think of it sooner. So I'm just going to cut, along this line here, just so you've got a big section for the root system, and then leave a nice healthy section for the foliage to go. This depends on what type of cutting you're taking, depending on what plant you're using, etc. But that's just what I do. So I'm going to just do this off screen, because I think YouTube's a bit funny about the use of knives, which makes sense. But yeah, so it's a very easy process. So I cut it majority of the way around, but I leave a flap so that it can hold itself up, but I can also, you know, get the plant in and out. So it's as simple as that, and I do not know why I have not done this sooner, because it makes so much sense. So I'm just going to cut this other one. Obviously, if you've used the bottle for anything other than water, give it a good rinse. But if it's just water, like these two are, then you're fine to go, you're okay to go. Cool, and then I'm going to put some medium inside. When I use this medium for cuttings, I do not pack it down tight. I just put it in loosely, because you really want to keep the airflow as good as you can, especially when it's in a kind of greenhouse or terrarium sort of situation, because the gaps between the medium are just going to be full of humidity anyway. And as you saw on the cutting I showed you earlier, the cuttings just grow roots out in the air anyway, because of how humid it is. So you really don't need to worry about packing it down. All right, there we go. There's that one. And it's already nice and moist, so I'm not going to water it after. And because these are basically closed terrariums, they will stay damp for quite a long while. I think one or two of the pots I use dries out quite a bit quicker than the others. So I've watered it twice in 2 weeks, but all the others are staying damp a lot longer. So yeah, you shouldn't need to water these very often at all. Oh, let's just get that off my fingers. There we go. Right, okay, so we've got 2 here. Then I'm sure you guys know how to take cuttings, but I'll show you anyway. Let me make some space. Turn this part around. I kind of want to choose 2 of the longest stems, so I'm going to hold it up. Which ones should we go for? Maybe this one here and the one underneath. So I'm going to do 4 leaf cuttings here. So I'm going to take these ones and these ones, and I'm going to cut. I would ordinarily do this with 2 hands, but I'm just going to cut about there. Don't need to be too worried about the precision or anything, because these plants are very hardy with being cut. They do secrete a lot of sap when you cut them, so just be careful where you're cutting them, like the surfaces you're cutting them on, because look, you can see there, they start spilling out straight away. So one thing I would recommend with these, if you're going to be putting them into a sealed unit like this, or it's not sealed but a closed propagator bottle, just check first for any insects that you do not want in there, because my Hoya Polyneura actually, it gets thrips, but it will literally have 1 leaf will be infected with the thrips and the rest of the plant will have nothing on, so it really doesn't affect the plant too much. But I don't want to accidentally put some thrips inside the bottle and then they just proliferate without me knowing, because it will just kill the cutting off before it really gets a chance. So just check them over first, make sure they're okay. These look really good, look healthy. I don't see any signs of pests. And then it literally is as simple as, let me try and show you. So you can see these little markings here. They are little nodules where roots are already starting to come, or they're just, you know, they're ready. As soon as they're in good conditions, where they feel a bit of moisture, or if they get in contact with the soil, they're just going to straight away start growing. So that is why these are so quick to propagate, because they're already ready to do it. That's what they want to do. So I just stick it in up to the first leaves and then gently bend over the plant into the top of the pot. And it is literally as simple as that. And that will, I'll expect to see roots on that in a week and a half. And this one, just be careful, you don't want this to be too wet, so do not have any water sat at the bottom. You just want it to be damp, and it will stay damp. If you do water it too much and there's a lot of water sat at the bottom, I would strongly advise tipping it all out, starting again, because any roots that do grow will most likely rot. There we go. You can open the top. I haven't on any of mine, so it's entirely up to you what you prefer. You can also get a pen, write the date on there, the variety, anything like that. Really easy. I'd say personally, do not put these in direct sunlight. I've been keeping them in just a bright indirect light, and that's what they do fine in. My adult Polyneura, I keep that in indirect light as well, so that just stays in my my north facing window, so it doesn't get any direct light, and that is what it seems to love. So yeah, that's literally as simple as it is. And then obviously once these are rooted, you can pot them up into their own pots, and then reuse the bottle as another propagator. So these realistically should last me years and years. These bottles I can just reuse again and again and again, and it will save you a lot of money, because I mean, propagators aren't expensive, but paying anything for something compared to nothing is expensive. So yeah. So I've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in total, and all the containers were free of charge. Well, reused, and they have just propagated so quickly. I'll see if there's another couple that I can show you that look just as good. This one actually has 2 cuttings in it, so you can put more than 1 in. You see all the roots growing there. I wouldn't advise doing more than 2 in a container. I'd advise doing 1, but it's just at the time I only had that many bottles and I took more cuttings than I had bottles, so I put 2 in 1. Let's lift it over. Just being gentle not to break the leaves, because these aren't super fragile, but they are still quite young plants. So you can see there, I've got some new leaves coming in, and they just grow so quick. It's just lovely. Yeah, they're super healthy looking, so I'm really pleased with that. It's a bit of a mess there. Let's put that in there. What other ones do we have? I mean, they all look the same because they all are the same, but you know, yeah, they're all doing really well. So I just keep some of them here in the bathroom, where I've got them in a north-facing window, just with a few of my other plants, which you guys have not seen in quite a while. So I've got my Scindapsus pictus, I've got a little Aglaonema, my mature Chlorophytum, I think it's Bonnie, and my original Begonia. So, and then a little aloe. Yeah, so it just sits there. Oh, and I've got my little cacti in there, which is still doing really well. Yeah, so I put them there. They get indirect bright light and it works perfectly. So hopefully that was useful and didn't feel too rushed. I didn't really want to long it out just for the sake of longing it out. So yeah, if you've got any questions, definitely let me know in the comments. I've used this method on other types of Hoyas as well. So just keep them a tiny bit drier, but still keep them damp. So yeah, if you've got any questions about what varieties, if you've got a different plant and you are wondering whether it would work on that, just let me know in the comments what plant it is, and I'll let you know whether I think it'd work or not. Yeah, and if there's anything in particular you guys want to see, just let me know and I'll see what I can do. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Cheers, bye.